I loves me some 1 degree of Chunky B.
Now, I just have to make a comment about Chunky B. Have you ever seen him looking so good?
The panel that includes actress Lainie Kazan, comedian Chunky B, and Playboy TV host Julie Strain. Chunky?
What was the question?
Ladies and gentlemen, I know week in and week out I tell you we have something special, but I kid you not, I'm looking you square in the eye. You want to get online right now, you want to get on the phone, you want to tweet, you want to Facebook, whatever you can to spread the word about what you're about to experience in the Garage of Love on 1 degree of Chunky B. But before we go any further, you know I like to dance around this garage. The man right across the table, the executive producer of All That Is Kind, he goes by the name of Gary Adler.
Thank you, Chunky. What a pleasure to be here this evening. I don't want to give it away. I will say a quick thank you to John Henry Binder and Christian for the Venice Duck Brewery beer.
We you know something, when you want to get your quack on, you grab the Venice.
That's right.
I was about to call it
if
Dennis.
you want to wake up with ducks all over you.
Yes, yeah. Okay, guys, I love the fact that you're starting a little fan base. I'm getting some information on the social media, what a stud the Wizard of the Knobs have become. I'm telling you, babes are starting to dig you, Travis. Everybody,
yeah.
Travis Spencer.
Thank you.
The
The
Wizard
knobs,
of the
the
Knobs.
The knobs.
Ladies
the
love
knobs.
me. We can't explain it, but they love me. I don't know.
Well, what's there not to love? All right, I need your undivided attention. I need you to pay real eye contact. I've known this guy for, and I'm kid you not, Adler, going over 20 plus years. Wow. I used to, when I was just getting into business, it's called utility, where I'm the assistant to the camera operator. And as I was growing in the business of television behind the scenes, Dave Banks was, I said that name, I know, but stay with me.
It's okay.
Why don't we just introduce and then we'll bust it out because I got so freaking excited. Ladies and gentlemen, I cannot believe it. On 1 degree of Chunky B in the Garage of Love, please give every bit of love you can to my friend Dave Banks.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's so good. And I ran into, and I'll just cut to the small story. We've got a director friend of ours that are mutual friends. And even way back when I was working with him, our lives went different ways because you went to a level that we're going to break down tonight. I stayed in Hollywood. Right? And I had my tail between my legs and I'm like, hey, look at me. I'm, doing all this stuff. The gentleman on my right decided to slip out of what we would call normal and have the most phenomenal experience and career as a camera operator, and it all goes along. I just might as well jump into the book.
Do it.
Cue the camels.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, Dave Banks has been around the world and shot in some of the craziest, funkiest, unsafe territories in the world. Dave Banks, why?
Well, that's what I do for a living. That's it. I mean, that's it. It's
Can you give us a short of it? You're working in Hollywood on what show, and then what triggered the move?
Yeah.
what I was actually a staff cameraman on ABC Network in Hollywood, down on Talmadge Prospect.
Right.
I was on that lot for many years.
What show?
I was working at the ABC Family Channel on the Prospect lot.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was there, and I left in '85 after I was brought up on charges by my local union, NABIT.
Okay, I want to hear about that. Why don't we bust that story out now?
Okay,
Because of,
that's
is
fine.
that the Betacam story?
Yes.
Okay, elaborate.
Yeah.
This is funny.
Okay,
This is
so
crazy.
in 1982, Sony introduced a new camera system called the Betacam.
Sure.
With self-contained, so it meant one solo operator. And I was working General Hospital. That was my claim to fame, was shooting General Hospital, and I actually shot Luke raping Laura on General Hospital.
Was that on the show? Or?
That
No,
was
it
on
it
the
was
show.
on
Sorry.
the show. See what we're dealing here, sophomore comedy?
That's fine. I was surprised when I was filming it. I mean, it was really amazing.
A legendary,
yeah.
crazy scene that everybody knows. If you're anything to do with soap operas, that was the biggest scene.
That was a big scene. They were pulling in primetime numbers at that time.
Yeah.
Yep.
And Gloria Monty was the executive producer. And she really took a liking to me and actually got me hired full time at that. I had been laid off 16 times as a summer relief.
Right.
So she hired me and I stayed on the show. And when we would do a location shoot, she wanted to break out of the box of soap operas, go outside the studio, do location shooting. Mm-hmm. That's what we did, but we had to use ABC Wide World of Sports trucks. And so we had these big trucks. You had like 100 people, cables, all of this. And she came to me and she says, what I would like to do is do more location shooting, but without disrupting my daily operation. Can you come up with something? Because she knew I was doing mountain climbing for Wide World of Sports expeditions and that type of thing.
Right.
So I got together with Bexel, and I became one of their poster boys. They have me on a poster hanging on a rope.
Okay, let me cut in real quick. If you don't know what Bexel is, the biggest rental house?
Yes, in England and here.
Of equipment, of broadcasting equipment.
And so I got with Gary Lee Master at the time, and I said, this is what we need to do. And so we came out, and he says, well, there's this new camera system called the Betacam. So we brought it in, and I showed Gloria, and she goes, oh, my God, this is great.
This is state-of-the-art stuff right now.
State-of-the-art.
Ahead of its time.
Now, prior to that, were there two people operating a camera? How was that working?
What they called it, and we can say this because it's a podcast, horsecock.
Yeah.
That was the cable described that would go to the camera to the truck.
Okay. It was that big. It was that big around. It was like almost 1.5 inches in diameter.
Yeah.
That looks familiar.
Yeah. Yeah. I was very envious, by the way.
Right.
And so
Here we go. What was that, 3 minutes before we talked about penises? Dave Bakes in the house. No, but you're changing the whole production.
I changed what West Coast, at least I know about the West Coast ABC. I don't know about the East Coast, but as soon as the older generation of engineers saw that I had done this plan, and I passed it around to everybody, so there was nothing hiding. I wasn't being stealthy about the changing the production needs. And so I was brought up on charges by my local union.
Unbelievable.
That was NABIT Local 57. I can't remember.
Yeah, whatever it was.
Okay, whatever it was.
So instead of a cable, I just want to lay it out. Instead of a cable going from the camera to the truck,
Right.
it was a self-contained unit on tape now.
Right. The tape was built into the camera.
Right.
Okay.
Right. And so so I was brought up on charges, but and I had to go to this monkey court, this kangaroo court.
This all went down? They still...
Oh, yeah. They were so peeved at me. I became the pipe bomb, and they were the shrapnel that was being hit with this new technology. And it was at that point when I was brought up on charges, I knew that if I was going to stay in this business, I wanted to embrace what the new technology would bring. And I do that. I do that today.
Right.
I'm shooting with a 5D Mark III Canon. So during the trial, Gloria Monty, the executive producer, walks in. And she says, you fools, don't you realize that he's actually creating jobs? He's not taking jobs away, because now I don't have to disrupt my daily operation of shooting in the studio.
Right.
I can have a separate crew go out and do these location shoots.
So she went to bat for you.
Oh, my God, yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
So it would add more cameras.
Right.
Even though you're self-contained, you still have to have a utility. You still have to have an audio guy. You still have to have lighting. So it is opening up more jobs. But they were just closed-minded.
Exactly.
They were fearing new technology.
They were. But that's that generation. That's when you had to have a radio license to actually work in broadcasting. There was all of these, pre-requirements that you had to have. And so I decided, well, I'm going to go outside the box. I'm going to do something. But I knew at that point that's when I would leave ABC and take off and do my own thing. And fortunately for me, in 1985 was when the year of cable networks started becoming their own.
Right.
And for the longest time, for instance, the History Channel was called the Hitler Channel because they were constantly showing old documentaries.
Yep.
Right? And so they started to produce their own original programming. And I was at the right place at the right time, in spite of living in a 1979 Volkswagen bus with a surfboard on top.
Right. But
I love that.
yeah, right. No kidding. Right. That's like the golden ticket right now. But what cracks me up is we all know, actually, those people in the business know like what the A-team is. All right. There's a handful of camera operators, and Dave Banks you were in it. You were right there. And I just found out through the book, your cousin is Hank Givens?
Oh, yeah.
See, I used to be his utility
Yes.
for years on the big shows, like,
Yeah.
the award shows and stuff. So you're grooving. You've got everybody's dream job that wants to become a camera
Right,
operator.
right.
And were you not fulfilled enough? Is that why you're saying, I'm going to ugly areas?
Well, I have to clear up Hank Giving.
Yeah.
That's our longest running joke we've ever had because we tell people we're cousins and we're not.
Oh!
And when I say and so when Hank and I tell people that don't know us that we're cousins and everything, Hank usually has this line, and Hank Giving is very funny.
Yes, he is.
Off the cuff, very
Yep,
funny.
dry.
And he would say, "Oh yeah, we're cousins, and we used to go to family reunions to pick up girls."
And if you knew the man,
Yeah.
that doesn't fit
Right.
his like first image of him.
Right.
Because when you look at him, he's tall and
Right.
thin, and he's just full of wisdom, and he knows everything, and he's got every director wants to work with him, and then he's sitting there, picking up chicks at family reunions. I say we party.
Family reunion crackers.
Well, that's what crackers do. So
But that is so funny because even in your book, you pull a fast one. And
Yes.
that's when I was like, no, I've known both these guys, even though I haven't seen Dave Banks in years and years and years. Because when he was going over, and which we're going to slowly slide into the meat and potatoes of this whole podcast, which I'm very excited to hear, coming out of his mouth, out of, the stories you have.
This man took a left turn.
He just, was it on your bucket list?
No.
What was the day like? Something. I'm gonna get ballsy, and I'm gonna go over places where people don't even want to go.
Can I interrupt for a second?
Sure.
Where does the Tonight Show fit into all this?
Well, actually, that didn't happen until 1992. Okay. I knew Ellen Brown, who was the director of The Tonight Show in the first generation of The Tonight Show before Conan. And I knew Ellen when she was an AD when I was doing all those A shows. I was on the A list for a while. And Jeff Margolis, Marty Pacetta, those people that were directing at that time. And so I would come back into town. Well, I didn't have medical insurance or anything like that. So what NABIT did have, which was pretty bad, was called the Entertainment Industry Flex Plan. And NBC would donate a little bit of money, like 60 cents or something like that, some unbelievable amount. And they would donate that, but you had to work so much. And so I would tell Ellen, hey, I'm going to be in town, and then I'm going to be gone. And so Ellen would hire me and bring me in. And so I was there when Jay first took over The Tonight Show, and then I would disappear, for a week or 2 weeks or even months at a time. And in Jay...
I was just about to mention, go ahead, say it.
Jay knows me only because I don't think he recognized me if he walked down the hall and I passed him. But if I start laughing, he would know who I was. Because
that was your signature. That was like,
my,
Dave's here.
Yeah. There's this audible laugh. I have a very loud laugh, and I don't hold back. And my laugh has integrity because if it's not funny, I'm not going to laugh.
Right. It's special. Someone's bringing the funny when you hear Banks chuckle.
And so that's how I got onto the Tonight Show, to answer your question. So
there was a union of some sort.
That was NABIT.
Yeah.
That was the NBC union, and so I had already been a member at ABC NABIT, and so it worked out.
And when did this happen?
Yeah, the book.
Oh, the book. Well,
not the book.
Not when you wrote it.
Yeah.
But like chapter, maybe not even chapter 1, but when did you go? I'm going to. I'm going to go places.
This. Yeah. I want a bunch of sand in my teeth.
Well, if I can just be really honest, I think it had a lot to do with the director who I wouldn't kiss his ass. So I decided that this is not the game I want to play the rest of my life.
Nice.
And so I basically left that whole the power, money, and prestige that you would have as a freelance camera guy, and especially doing all the live shows. So I said, that's it. I'm not into this. And I started out as a photojournalist. And so what happens in the real world is much more important to me. The money was great. It allowed me to take care of things financially, but I wasn't being fulfilled at all. And I was really concerned about what was happening outside.
Right. Sure. Now, was this just like #1 on your bucket list? Or was this were you adrenaline junkie? Because I know that back then you did go sober. You stopped drinking, and we don't have to go back to how crazy you were, but there are stories that still bounce around this town. But was it a adrenaline rush? Like, hey, listen, I'm not going to get my freak on with a bottle of whiskey. I'm just going to go to crazy places and have sand in my crotch.
Shoot him.
No, it wasn't. It's not really adrenaline. It was really the passion and the drive to actually do something that was of significance.
What was the first event that you went and shot?
That what affected me?
Yeah.
I think Jerusalem. Yeah,
Bust it down. Tell us.
Well, look at the history and the culture. The three major religions were born in Jerusalem: Islam, Judaism, and Christianity. But there is such dichotomies. There is so much there that in fact, the video that you'll see, Jerusalem Bed Sheets, shows that. And it's just really amazing, and it's interesting. And I only have a high school education, but I'm self-taught, and I really like archaeology, sociology. I really find myself into that, and that was the draw. As far as doing the adrenaline junkie things, it wasn't. I was getting that need met when I climbed Half Dome and had a climbing accident and had to be rescued.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. And so in the climbing, the surfing, that was giving me what I wanted. And it evolved from doing, like, for instance, the History Channel does a lot of these biblical archaeology type of shows. Well, that's one of the shows that I was doing. And because I had this background in expeditions and from Wide World of Sports and all that, it evolved. Oh, get Dave Banks to do that. He'll do that. And that's sort of...
do anything.
Right. Well, not...
Come on, dude. This is basically anything.
Well,
this book is full of a bunch of anythings, man. Seriously, read this. And I'm not even done. I'm not going to be one of those guys, so, you ever read your book? I'm like 75% done. And I'm telling you, there's a whole bunch of... And I didn't mean to stop your thought there, but what I loved about this book, and Wizard, I know... Mr. Banks brought you one, so you're going to take it home? He reads, believe it or not. He does read.
But by the way, he's only a few chapters into Wizardology right now.
Right.
Give me some time, guys. Give me some time.
As much as I do know you, it feels like you're sitting down, waiting for a camera meeting and talking to Dave Banks in this book. He's not afraid to bring the funny, even when there's nothing funny in the situation where there's missiles being thrown. He's got a bounty on his head. And I love, can I do some quotes?
Go right ahead.
And I want to let you know, I'm not even going to look at my notes or anything. That's how much I enjoyed the book.
Right.
He was actually, I know we're skipping around, but that's how we roll.
It's great.
Dave Banks actually had a bounty on his head. If you can get an American $16,000, if you can, dead or alive, if you can bring a head of an American, I don't know if it was a broadcaster or a crew guy or whatever, and you know what? He was upset because he thought you thought you were worth 20.
I'm at least worth 20K. Jesus, I mean, come on.
Right.
And that was in 1998, before anybody ever heard of Osama bin Laden.
Right.
And here's the two worlds that I live in. All right. So I do risk management, because I have that experience over there. I know the fixers. My guy in Israel, for instance, is Shmuel Bernstein, who's a retired lieutenant colonel in the IDF. Well, he can get me anywhere. And he has the only Suburban in Jerusalem, which is similar to the ones that the U.S. Embassy has. So he gets in, and I can get my shots, get that money shot and that type of thing. So anyway, I did the rest management. I took it to a mid-level producer at MPH Entertainment, because we were going to do we're going to do some documentaries. I can't remember which ones. And I said, by the way, when you sign this deal memo, I'd like to make an amendment. Would you please put in there that if something should happen to me, would you be sure that my body is returned to America? And they refused.
What?
They refused.
We'll hire you, but when you're dead, tough luck?
Yeah, tough luck,
Not only did they refuse, but they collected the 16 grand.
Those are producers, mid-level or upper. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You wouldn't expect anything less. That's crazy.
Yeah.
So you asked, hey, listen, if I'm dead, ship me back? And they said no.
Yeah, just ship my body back so my parents can bury me.
Unbelievable.
So, yeah, so, but that's the mentality I was having to deal with. And that was in 1998, way before the Twin Towers. And I knew who Osama bin Laden was, because that was my job. But when you do your job, and you take it to the people, and they think that the rest of the world is a backlot Universal Studio, They don't understand. They live in a different world.
Right.
And those were the two worlds that I lived in which I tried to explain to the people in this book that, yeah, I worked in the air-conditioned studios of Hollywood.
Yeah.
But, 24 hours later, I'm in Afghanistan.
Okay.
Go ahead,
Yeah,
Tom.
I've got so many more. I got so many more
I just
questions.
wanna
Can you
say-
see how excited I am?
When I went, and by the way, you can go to YouTube and see Jerusalem bed sheets. Just look it up. There's so much conflict going on still, right? Between the religions. Can you talk about that a little bit?
At the end of Jerusalem Bed Sheets, Father, I think it's Murphy O'Connor, who has passed away, and he taught archaeology, biblical archaeology there in Jerusalem. And the very last thing I say in that video is that he sees that there's not going to be any peace at the Holy Sepulchre or the Middle East. And I think he's right, because in the video, and I don't want to give it away or telegraph it, but in the video at the very end, you see the contrast of one of the most holy sites for Christianity and what happens between 5 different groups that control the Holy Sepulchre. And and I can do this because I'm not beating people over the head with it. I'm trying to do it using comedy and visuals. So that's a part of it.
Okay, and I'm going to talk more about the comedy, but I could be skipping around. But we mentioned Bin Laden.
Yeah.
Tell him the goat story. Wasn't that didn't goats stop you in the middle of?
Yeah, near Almenia, and there's a school, Islamic school that was very radical, and we literally had 17 bodyguards. We had an old blue armored personnel carrier, which I think the UN gave up and gave to the Egyptians, and so I looked at getting B-roll, which is footage that you want to accent. And show what the environment is and that type of thing, if there's any voiceover. So I wanted to get these goats. So I'm running outside with the camera and start shooting. And and they call them tourist police in Egypt. And they're basically your security guys, and they all wear polyester suits with sunglasses 24/7. Right. And they have an Uzi down here, right there. And so they started screaming at us, telling us to get back in, because that is one of the ploys that terrorists would use, is by using goats and stopping to see who is on board. And so we were the first Americans to travel by road through Middle Egypt. And so the security risk was really, really high.
So wait. They run the goats across the road?
Forcing you to stop.
So that's the roadblock?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a saying in there, like a goat got you, or got you by the goat, or I don't know. Chin.
You've been goated.
Yeah. I got your goat.
Yeah. Okay, now if we're still laughing, I'm going to continue to chuckle. What is your thing? And I don't know if you've ever admitted it, but what's your thing with underwear, bro? Seriously.
Hey, can we tease that?
Are we 20 minutes? Are you serious?
Right?
Are we that deep into it?
Unbelievable.
All right, you guys, check this out. This is why I love Dave Banks. We're going to take a short break, and we're going to show you some sponsors.
And we're going to talk about underwear.
And we're going to talk about underwear traveling to places where no man is going.
And you're not privy to this. It's only between the guys, okay?
You're watching and listening to 1 Degree of Chunky B in the Garage of Love with Dave Banks. We're going to be back here in just a second.
Cheers.
Wow.
You guys have got to check out our brand new sponsor, Venice Duck Brewery. You want to get your quack on? Taste some of this.
Hi, Winston Giles here in Los Angeles, California from 1 Degree of Chunky B, and our artist of the week this week is Fascinator. Australian Johnny, now out of New York, and the song's called Mr. Caterpillar.
I'm Dave Banks, and I'm on 1 Degree of Chunky B.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are back with Dave Banks. Once again, what an honor in the Garage of Love, 1 Degree of Chunky B on chunkyb.tv. Mr. Banks, people are tuning in, listening, and watching right now. How do they get in touch with you and your wisdom?
Well, if they want to purchase the book, it's www.cuethecamels.com, all lowercase one word. And that's the best way. I have my blog, so you can go to N as in Nelson Banks.com, davidnbanks.com.
All right, and cue the camels. We've got Dave Banks has so many stories, and I promise you, it is a great story why this book is called it. But I want to talk we're going to skip into Jerusalem's bed sheets. All right, why that name, and tell the backstory on that.
Okay, well, Jerusalem bed sheets came about from several trips to Jerusalem. And in walking the streets of Jerusalem, old Jerusalem. Right. And I would see huge amounts of crowds, tourists, and I'd see a lot of evangelical Christians, mostly from the South. And what happens is that they get so caught up that they're in the city of Jerusalem that they believe that God is speaking to them. And so what they do is they go back to their hotel room and take their clothes off and wrap themselves in their bed sheets. And go down.
You got to smile. Is it okay to smile at this?
I think so.
Did you smile when you learned this?
Well, I witnessed it, and I was going, holy crap, what's going on over there?
Why are they doing this?
Because they believe that God has called them. They're hearing God talk to them. And so, in fact, the Israeli government has a special psychiatric ward for Jerusalem syndrome, and it happens every year, mostly around Easter, and it's about, I think they said somewhere estimating around 150 people end up with this, and it's mostly Southern evangelicals.
Because it's the Holy Land, right? Is there anything holier?
No.
I mean, and people are like, oh my goodness, this is where, Jesus had those sandals and was like walking the streets.
Right.
I'm getting a bed sheet. I'm joining the task force.
Right. And people, and it's just, it's not, some of them become Jesus, some of them become John the Baptist. There was even, there's a Mary that walks the Via Dolorosa, the different parts of that Jesus walked when carrying the cross. And she weeps all the way to the Holy Sepulchre where they believe Jesus' body was laid. Oh my God. But there's another Mary that's in Bethlehem, and she invites people to his birthday every year. And so these people are convinced that this is what's going on.
It's become like the religious Disneyland or something.
It is.
Yeah, it's insane.
Yeah.
But is it the happiest place on earth?
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's the great question is, you've seen it, you've witnessed it, you've shot it. What are your personal thoughts on it?
Well, I would have to say because of my 12-step program, I believe in a higher power. Mm-hmm. And I get to choose whatever that is, because if it helped me, and obviously, with 27 years being clean and sober, it must be working. So I always look at it this way. Religion is for people who are afraid to go to hell. Spirituality is for people who have already been there. Well, I've already been there. So.
Wow.
That's good.
Goosebumps.
That's good.
Goosebumps. Banks comes in with a right hook. Wow. Down goes Chunky. Okay. We teased about the underwear. Yeah. And the reason why I brought up the underwear is it comes up semi-often in your book.
Right. Eating and underwear are two main themes that are in the book. Not closely associated, but
okay. All right. Let me set up the next up the next story. You had a camera on your shoulder. There was cases, all kinds of equipment cases. Opened it up, and the guy saw where you tucked in boxers of underwear with a certain design.
Right.
And what happened when the guy was asking with his hand out?
Well, if most of you who are out there have done any international traveling, and if you have expensive gear, you usually carry it on board with you. You don't put it in a box, because if you're going, especially to the Middle East, North Africa, wherever, you don't know if you're going to have your equipment when you arrive. So I carried the Betacam, and so to save room, I put all my personal belongings in the camera case, which is a big Pelican gray case, and I would throw all my stuff in there. And one of the things I do is I would go and buy the cheapest underwear, like boxers, and I would throw them in there because there's no place to wash if you're in the Sahara Desert. You just toss them.
Right.
And so I tossed the underwear, I tossed the socks and everything, and I got this underwear which had the yellow smiley face on it. And they were very inexpensive. It came like in a pack of 5,
Right,
and the material was so thin, you knew this was only going to last one time. There's no, this is not going to be able to turn it inside out and wear them the next day. No, you had to get rid of them. And so I opened it up, and there was this customs guy at the Cairo airport, and I'm holding the camera in my hand, and I opened it up, and there's these boxers with the yellow smiley face on them, and Mark Huffnell, the executive producer I work with and who's become like a brother to me over the years, he says, Jesus, Dave, couldn't you just get like, whitey tidies or something? I mean, what are you doing? And he was kind of creating the scene, and the custom Egyptian custom guys there, where's the camera? Where's the camera? Well, I've got the camera. The camera's right here.
Right.
It says here on your...
in the case.
Yeah, it's in the case. Where's the camera? Where's the camera? And so I had to pull everything out, put the camera in it so that he would be satisfied. But what it turned out to be was bashish. And bashish is payola. It's a bribe.
Right.
Did they want the underwear?
No.
They wanted cash.
No. And as big as he was, he couldn't fit in it. I just want you to know I'm still a 34.
Yo,
Nice. First of all,
the jury's still out. Because there's some stories where he got his ass stuck in some tunnels.
Well, that was the bubble butt. I just couldn't get out of that one. So
I can't imagine the Middle Eastern food was helping the situation at all.
I absolutely loved it. But there was the one time I did get Pharaoh's revenge, but that was eating grapes from a Nile, a guy who had a boat, and he shared the grapes, and I didn't want to offend him, so I ate it. And brother,
Paid for it.
Yeah, I paid for it. Yeah, but that was actually the only time. But as being freelance, whether you're a solo journalist, you're a producer, whatever, if you're on location and you're sick, you work.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And I can't tell you how many times I have been so ill, so sick, and you just keep working. But that's the lifestyle I chose, and that's the profession I chose.
Okay, big vague questions. Your most, this is it. I'm not going to make past the next roll of tape. When was like, I'm going to die shooting right now? When was the most horrific moment in your career?
Boy, that's a good question, and I haven't really given that any thought. I mean, I've had some really close calls. I would say probably, but I wasn't shooting at the time.
It doesn't matter.
I think that I was at Bagram Air Base in Afghanistan, and I opened up the tent and I looked down, and there's a clump of dirt, and this is in 2002. So this is way before Iraq, and there's the head of a mine.
Oh.
And so Jeremy Brill was my audio guy at the time. And
you write about in the book?
Yeah, and I said, hey, I think that looks like a landmine right there, and it's right there.
Next to the tent.
Yeah, well, yeah, as you open the front of the tent, and of course nothing's been really cleared in that area, and so the guys came in and checked it, and it had actually already exploded. It was just the top.
Right.
And so, but there was Mount Ararat in eastern Turkey. We were on goat trails, and there's mines up there. But that just comes with the territory.
What about the missiles? Didn't you tell me, or did I read something?
It's an RPG.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can see them coming?
You hear it, and you can see it coming. It's not like a bullet, the little loads of death, but an RGB is you can actually see it coming towards you, and it makes a whistle. And
like a warning.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, which way do I go? But it's and I got, after Afghanistan, I got diagnosed with PTSD, and it wasn't just Afghanistan. I mean, you have to stop and think. There's an accumulation that happens over a period of time that you expose, and you somehow think you don't. I never thought of the camera as being my shield. I never thought that. I was just doing my job. I was trying to get the best shot because I'm recording history.
Right. I want to stop you for a second.
Yeah.
Those initials that I know, break the whole terminology down of exactly what you got after all this.
Post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD.
Right. And that was from a combination of all your experiences.
All the experiences.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can I ask, listen, none of us are spring chickens, and you're still carrying a giant camera on your shoulder. Have you had any sort of physical health problems from that?
No.
None?
No.
Wow.
No,
Because I know a lot of cameramen who, after a while,
hips,
have to kind
shoulders,
of give it up.
elbows.
Yeah, all kinds of hoo-ha.
Right.
Now, what about that honey mustard pretzel nugget you choked on at the Tonight Show? Was that...
Weren't we just going somewhere serious? Were we?
Well, until my cousin Hank put his finger down my throat, it stayed there. Then it got out. So
We just
I just wanted to hear that laugh, man.
He couldn't lie about it. It was a real laugh.
We got the laugh. All right. Lightning in a bottle right there. Okay, we do want to just skip over that. What would you call that? An ailment? I mean,
What's that?
What did you do to make yourself better after?
Oh well, I have to say that having the 12-step program really helped a lot, and because I had, I've been rewarded for my being clean and sober. I mean, look at the life I've led.
Yep.
And so I'm very happy about that. But I think a part of that had been instrumental. And I knew that I couldn't medicate myself or take medicine that would alter, because I didn't want to get addicted and I didn't want to get in fist fights anymore. So I just
fist fights. Nicest guy in the world.
And so I went to therapy for about 3.5 years. And then that turned in, and one of the things I did, I got this book that was recommended to me called The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron.
Love that book.
I got to tell you, those morning pages paid off, because I did 3 spiral notebooks, front and back pages. And when I met Denise, my wife, we burned those books.
I still do my morning pages.
Yeah, it clears your mind. It cleans you out. I mean, so that you can actually be creative. And get to what you're passionate about, and that's that. I
can't tell you how many stuff has come true based on my scribblings. It's amazing. I don't know if you've ever seen this book or read it.
No. This is new. Wiz, you know what they're talking about?
No.
The Artist's Way.
Yeah,
look it up.
Julia
Go
Cameron.
Yeah,
who's also another 12-stepper.
All right, right on. How about your most fulfilling when you were on top of the world, where the sky parted, a shaft of light came on you?
That perfect shot.
Yeah. When would you know, like, this? I don't know if I'll get any better than this.
I'm still looking.
Still looking?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The right answer is 1 degree of Chunky.
Right now.
1 degree of Chunky B.
Right now. You are right there in the pocket.
Where's my spotlight?
Yeah.
Those guys.
Let's flip the coin. And when you are in the furthest corners of the world and you ship your tapes back to the mothership, meaning CBS, and they're like, no good.
Yeah, that's the worst. That's absolutely the worst. And every shooter, whether it's still images, video, film, a feature film where everything is so controlled, it's one of the most horrible experiences that you can have.
When you're hanging over on a ladder that may have been built like in 4,000 years ago, and when you were doing the Tomb Raiders, and you found that mallet in that ladder,
right?
You're talking, what, 3,000, 4,000?
Yes. Oh, absolutely. 4,000 years old that those Tomb Raiders actually dug this tunnel. And that's how we could get in there. And so but it's...
And that's when the bubble butt got stuck?
Yeah, that's when my bubble butt, yeah. Yeah, the aperture, I swear to God, it was like an aperture. It's like this big, And of course, I'm 6'1", 210, and with a Betacam. And I'm in this one little chamber, which is about the size of a Mini Cooper. And then you go through this aperture, and it's always my butt. But it didn't happen just in Egypt. It happened in Israel as well. And I have a video on that as well.
Right on.
So it's,
Can I ask a question?
Yeah,
There's one, I saw something online where you're looking over a cliff shooting down, and there were people on the cliff. What were they doing?
I was asked to direct Eco Challenge Australia for Mark Burnett and Discovery Channel. And that was to be their flagship show. And because of my mountain climbing expedition, all that, they asked me to direct, and I said, well, I'm not interested, quite honestly, because I don't like doing sports. Anything to do with the ball, I don't do. And they said, no, we want to do stories. We want this to be a real story about people that are doing this expedition race. So I said, okay, I can do that. And so I hired my cousin, Hank Giving, with a Jimmy jib. Right. And we placed that. And so I actually got to Australia early so that I could do the course myself. Because I have people's lives, I have to be concerned about that. So when the climbers and people that I hired actually went to do these routes and climb these walls or go in the kayaks, they knew that Dave Banks had already been there, and they know that I wouldn't put them in a dangerous situation if I wouldn't put myself.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that's like Mr. Good Guy over here. That's respectable.
Yeah, completely.
Yeah.
There's a new technology in cameras now, the Hovercam. Have you experimented with this thing?
No, but Hank's bought one.
He has.
Yes, Hank's bought one. Joe Drago's bought one, and we're talking about doing a couple of documentaries where we would use that. It's already been used on the air, and nobody's got caught from the FAA.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
they-
There's got to be some legal
they've
issues.
created a lot of restrictions with those things.
Yeah, but you can get away with it. I mean, once you get the shot, and you're doing early morning because that's when the environment's the best for that kind of a thing. So before the thermals rise or whatever.
Right,
So,
right.
but I would love to take one back to Israel.
So you would take morning time, first in the morning, over what we call golden time?
Oh yeah, the golden time is incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Do you ever use GoPros in your daily?
Well, not now. I mean, since I've been sort of out of it since I hooked up on the Tonight Show, I needed to have a normal life for a while. I mean, after 17 years, I just wanted a normal life. And
So you're back to the air-conditioned Hollywood? Is that what we're talking about?
Well, that theater was pretty damn hot
Yeah.
when we were there, wasn't it?
Yeah,
I mean,
no kidding. Hey, you know something? Hey, I'm going to jump in and just brag about myself.
Where did you re-hook up?
Check
Let's
this
talk
out.
about
Check
that.
this out. We've got a common director friend, Liz, who did the Tonight
Liz
Show.
Plunka.
Yep. And I was shooting Wayne Brady's daytime talk show. And then when I went over to tell jokes over at Craig Ferguson, boom, boom, boom. And all of a sudden, Liz hires me and Dave Banks. And not only that, he and I he's camera 3, I'm camera 4, and we've got to find the exact judge that is talking at the right time. So for 5 days, Dave and I didn't get to see each other because there was a wall between us, but we had to kind of chat.
On what show are we talking about?
We can talk about it, right?
I have no idea.
Yeah, let's talk about it. Last Comic Standing.
Oh, you're shooting. That's
Yeah.
what you're shooting right now.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Right. So I get to hang, and then, he and I have got to do our strategy, after the camera meeting. I'm okay, listen, I'll take Keenan Ivy Wayans, and you take Roseanne, and then you're Russell Peters. So we were zigzagging around. I know that doesn't sound much to you guys. I have no idea what I'm talking about, but it was a thrill that I was getting to play, patty cakes with Dave Banks.
How's Chunky as a shooter? Is he all right?
Oh my God.
Really?
I'm jealous.
Come on. How's his horse cock? That's what I want to know.
We don't have that
Let me
anymore.
tell
Just
you.
a little
America
coax.
wants to know.
I've seen it. It's quite impressive, right?
Before we lose focus, I do want to bring it home with a little serious note. The riots. You've been around the world and you've seen some crazy things, but the LA riots. What did that mean to you, and how deep did you go in?
Oh, I went into the point where I heard a voice behind me say, "You better watch out, Mr. Cameraman." And then I got shot at off of the 10. I was on the 10 shooting a house fire, and I have 2 videos on that. And I don't like a lot of voiceover. I want the images to speak for themselves, so I made a deal with 2 musicians. One was Tracy G, who was the lead guitarist for Ronnie James Dio for years, and he had a song called Lamborghini Blues, which I put. And I was trying to come up with a name for the 2. One's with fire, and one is with police arresting people. And it was actually Denise, my wife, who came up with incarceration, incineration. And so I laid it down to music, and I think it's emotionally, it tells a story without a lot of blah, 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 blah.
Right.
So were you down in the heart of it, like where
Yes.
Reginald Denny was beat up and all
Yeah,
that?
I had actually picked up an assignment from CBS News, and I was in Irvine to shoot. Spike Lee was going to do a talk, and the riots broke out, and he couldn't make it down there. Fortunately, I had rented a car, not using my Volkswagen bus, and I had a car that looked like a cop car. I mean, look at me. I mean, I got hair. I mean,
Right.
I so constantly, you're either in the military or you're a narc. I get that.
Right.
So I didn't have my police scanner with me, so I jumped in the car, grabbed the cameras, and headed up the 405. And right when I got to LAX, I'm listening to KFWB radio, and I'm following police helicopters, which are called ghetto birds.
That's right.
Yep.
And media helicopters to see where the action was, and then I would follow them and start shooting. And so that's how I covered it. Took it to CBS. They bought it, and but I own the footage and German television.
I mean, I was here, and I was watching it from the tower in Marina Del Rey. You know, the village,
right.
whatever
And
that.
the puffs of smoke
at
throughout the-
Mariners Village. I was up in that tall tower, just
Sure.
watching the city on fire. But I would never go anywhere near there. You crazy?
Yeah, yeah. I remember I was flying out right before they shut the airport down. I got out of town because it was at the end of April, wasn't it?
Yeah, 28. I
Yeah.
think the 28th or
April
29th.
26,
Right.
1992. Sublime wrote
I'm in New
about it.
Orleans. Yeah, I'm in New Orleans every year at that time. I flew out and just saw smokestacks. It was the most. And then
Yeah.
going right down Abbot Kinney Boulevard, you've got tanks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
It was
that was the
crazy.
second riots. I was also in Miami when the riots broke out, and we had military with F-16s at the. What are they? A-16s? F-16s?
Oh, yeah.
There's something that we
yeah,
will
right
never.
on my street.
Yeah, yeah.
Man, that's
Yeah.
crazy.
Crazy, man.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
But do you feel a sense of security with a camera in your hand?
Do you feel bulletproof?
No, you know, it doesn't hit you till later. I mean, you're there doing your job, and the riots, well, that's history, and sometimes future generations need to be reminded, and that's a part of it.
That is a great point. Now, do you ever feel like these up and coming camera operators that you see around town that you don't? Where'd you come from? Are you like, dude? You have no idea what we did to lay the foundation. You're the founding fathers of really like amazing shit.
No.
You don't even care that these guys, these
No,
new kids have no idea.
No, I care, but what I care more about is the loss of real journalism in American media. I mean, that's what really, really bothers me.
Now, is that social media breaking the debunking?
Well, yeah. I mean, HBO's got Vice.
Yeah.
I watch Al Jazeera. I have a VPN so I can get BBC World News. I want real news because what happens in the Middle East can directly affect everyone here. What happens to Kim Kardashian or Kanye doesn't affect me at all. And
Dude,
so
that's a good place right there. That's a good place.
Hey, check it out. The Wizard is known for one last question.
no, he's not wearing his hat. That big tall one.
No, it's a modern day. It's a modern day.
Oh, a modern day wizard. Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha. Okay.
Wiz, do you have something for Mr. Banks before we wrap this
you
up?
know where I'm going with this one. Hours and hours of footage you've shot. How many UFOs have you seen, or the craziest anomaly, video-wise, if it's not a UFO?
Unexplained
Yeah, absolutely.
phenomenon.
I don't think I have, quite honestly. No.
No
Good
UFOs?
answer.
See, your shit is bullshit.
Anything
man.
crazy?
He's one of those guys. He's one of those guys.
No, but I will tell you, I'm a big fan of ghost hunters.
Right.
I mean, I absolutely
really?
love that. I would love to go with them and do that. I just think that's fabulous. I love that stuff. I watch Ancient Aliens,
Right.
but I have not experienced that for myself.
Huh.
So
That's crazy with the hours and hours of footage you've never seen.
Yeah, he had Bigfoot coming across the church one day.
He did see Bigfoot at the Whaling.
Yeah.
We found out who Jesus was. It was Bigfoot.
Well, it's funny because
Bigfoot with the sheets on.
I just posted something on my blog, and it's a photo of Elvis Presley wearing the at the
Lord.
West Wall, and it says, "I saw Elvis at the West Wall," because
That's
there's
funny.
a restaurant
Yeah.
in Jerusalem, outside of Jerusalem, called the Elvis Inn.
Oh,
And
my goodness.
It is,
I
and I
just
wrote
read
about
about
that.
that.
Yeah, I wrote
Yeah.
about that as well. So
That's fantastic, man.
Yeah.
What an amazing guest, Chunky. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you,
Yeah,
man.
And I want you to say yes, that you will come back, because we probably hit less than a quarter of this stuff. Will you come back and break it down more in the future?
now that my GPS was working and I know how to get here, yes. So
Let's get a quick plug, some more plugs.
Yeah, one more time.
What
Banks,
about the
tell-
blog? What about the Facebook? Where can we find you?
It's davidnbanks.com, all one word, lowercase, N as in Nelson, and Facebook, Dave Banks. I'm on Pinterest. I'm on Twitter. So even if you just Google Dave Banks, photojournalist, documentary filmmaker, writer,
Or Cue the Camels.
or Cue the
Cue
Camels.
the Camels.
Yeah.
Skadoo, skada. Look at that.
Yeah.
Oh, and real quick, we didn't even mention, even though he did work with Jay Leno, The Forward.
Forward by Jay Leno.
Did we mention that? I just got so wrapped up. I don't even think we even dialed into the importance of that.
Has this been released?
It has been released as of February 6th in the UK. We have yet to do an official release in the US, and so
We are ahead of the time.
we're creating the buzz, so that's what we're doing. And
awesome.
and as of today, Romans is now carrying my book. I just dropped off a package to Book Soup on Sunset near the Viper Room to see if they'll carry it. And so I'm just making these little choice places that I would like to take the book. Then I will do a release, and certainly you guys will be invited.
And Dave, would you mind signing our
Absolutely.
copies? And can you sign one for our number one fan?
I don't mean to brag.
Hello.
You got it already. Nice. It was going to be a secret in case you wouldn't sign yours. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a man full of integrity, character, wisdom, value, friendship, and loyalty. He goes by the name of Dave Banks, and if you don't look him up, I will track you down and poke you in the eye. Ladies and gentlemen, Dave Banks in the Garage of Love.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you.